You know, I left the border 45 minutes ago. It's dark now. Steve and I were talking about politics. My wife hates politics. I'm sure your wife hates politics too. My wife despises politics, and as many of you know, I wouldn't say I have a political background. I know I ran in politics, but many of you may not know this about me. Before that run in politics, I had zero interest and zero background in politics. Many of you know why I ran, and it has to do with horse racing, not necessarily healthcare and the economy. So we were having a healthy debate, quite a long debate about a number of topics. Anyway, I just dawned on me that we're coming up. I'm almost back to the training center. I got to check temperatures right now. And it dawned on me I didn't get to finish my video. We talked about LD's Patrick. We talked about the unfortunate injury to Royson's punch. We talked about Stay Close, his gait, how well he raced, how nice of a horse he is. Even talked about Levitor going to Yonkers. So my brother Mark is going to drive Levitor at Yonkers. I talked to Corey Stratton. I told you the connection we had with Corey Stratton. One, if you guys can remember, Jordan Stratton, who was forever the leading driver, I think, at Yonkers, always wins a ton of races, flew to Canada to do an open out. Do you remember that? Were you with us then? You weren't, were you? Jordan Stratton literally flew to Canada to go with babies for us one year. Anyway, his younger brother, Corey, does very well at Yonkers. Mark had mentioned Corey's name, said it was close to his place. Corey does a good job. I know Corey's girlfriend. She's from Ontario, Vicky. So we opted not to send LD's Patrick this week, and we may not at all, actually, after I looked. 4 or 5 divisions. One horse in with Levitor is racing in the open at Yonkers. Like, how crazy is that? So I told Mark, listen, he's sharp. He's in tough. You know, drive him hard, tell me what you think, and we'll go from there. They have a 50 claimer, a 75 claimer there also. There's lots of racing there if we want to keep this horse there also. So it just depends on how he gets around the track. This is a horse. This is a horse they told me wouldn't get around a half when we bought him. Took his mark at Northfield Park. Now, Northfield Park is not your average half. Great turns, different kind of racing. So I'm interested to see. Maybe Levitor will make a break. Maybe he won't be good at Yonkers, in which case we'll easily deviate. The one good thing about him, he can race anywhere we want. We can bring him back to Toronto. We can bring him back to Northfield Park. We can go wherever we want with Levitor. He's a nice horse to be around, and he is perfect right now. So we'll see. So that is Levitor. We did have 5 horses going out the door today. Now, a lot of people have asked me, what's going on with Walk on the Moon? You said you were going to castrate him. Did you castrate him? No, I did not. I'll tell you why. I am geared towards racing horses, but there are more avenues for us in racing horses. I was contacted by a road horse, so a show horse person somehow knew that we were potentially going to castrate Walk on the Moon and was asking if he was for sale. I don't really think they wanted to pay for Walk on the Moon what I thought he was worth. I don't think he was worth what we turned down for him. That's fair, but he's still a nice horse. So that the ask was simple. He'll mature, grow up, and be a big, strong, colt, gorgeous horse. One thing about Walk on the Moon, however many horses we have, 120 some horses, he's one of the best looking horses we have. He's a beautiful animal. And they said, well, you know, just do me a favor, unless you absolutely have to castrate him, don't. Okay, I don't want to close doors down the road, so we won't. So we changed. Put the trot and hobbles on him today. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Anthony, you shouldn't need trot and hobbles. You win in 53 without them. You're right. And I can't really tell you why he made a break in Miami Valley. Can't really tell you why he made a break at the Meadows. I can tell you he won't make a break next time. I had the hobbles on him today. He trained very, very good with the hobbles on in a monsoon. That's one thing you guys remember about today. It was an absolute torrential downpour. If it had been 10 degrees cooler, it would have been an absolute nightmare for me. The worst day of the year. It was warm out, so it was just horrible rain. I went and qualified all the horses in the pouring rain. I even schooled 1-2 skip a few, pouring rain. So we'll get right to it. I get in this morning, warmed up some horses. I trained Walk on the Moon. He trained very, very good with the hobbles on. I immediately called Tim Twaddle for the simple reason, one, he has to qualify in Ohio. I'm not qualifying. I'm not wasting another line on a horse that isn't going to run. 2, you can just put the hobbles on them in Pennsylvania. You don't have to qualify them with on. You don't in Ontario anymore, but you still do in Ohio. So 2 rules I wish they'd change in Ohio. I imagine they'll get to them someday. You don't need a flat line off a qualifier, just a flat line in 30 or 45 days. Ontario changed this rule. And let's be. Ontario changed this rule because of COVID. I don't know why I'm happy they changed the hobble rule. I don't know why they changed that, but I'm happy they did. Yeah, he might be pulling out. He's not coming after me. He's right there.
He's got your phone on. So.
Yeah. Do you want me? I could have asked him, and he put me over as his lead. So.
I don't say yes, but he actually did.
I don't think so. No, you're probably right. Another debate for another time, Steve. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh, Walk the Moon. So I like the fact that we can just put the horse in to go next week. So I felt he was much, much better today, much more confident today, never put a step in, never offered to run. I don't like the fact that we have to put hobbles on him, but at the end of the day, it's racing. I'm going to put them on. So Walk on the Moon is going to race next week for Tim Twaddle at the Meadows. That is that. And that is how we got to that point. It was simply, I was going to castrate him. One, he didn't need to be a stud. He didn't need to be a stud in horse racing. But he may need to be one at some point down the road. So, we're not going to castrate him. I didn't. And it never dawned on me. These are things, again, you always have to leave as many doors open as you can in this industry, and that's what I'm trying to do. So he'll race next week. I guess we'll stay on the trend of next week for the next moment. We also qualified a Moore Diener. You guys have no idea. Well, first off, they charted it wrong. I was 3rd, not 5th. I told Steve that. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I was clearly 3rd, and they had me charted as 5th. Whatever. I don't know how that happened, but 2 minutes and 4/5 last half, 59-4. When I went on the track with a Moore Diener, it was a driving heavy rain. I don't even know what the wind speed would be. It had to be 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, they actually delayed the qualifier 5 or 10 minutes because of the rain and wind. Literally. So, a very good qualifier for him. Safe, strong. He's got a series coming up the Meadows. Super happy with a Moore Diener. Then I went with Sweet on Pete next. Now, Pete and Jimmy need 2 qualifiers. We knew that going in. I didn't move Pete till halfway down the lane. She did put a step in at the wire. She's done that her whole life. But she does need another qualifier. There was a big mile for her off a 2-4 training trip coming in. So I'd like to come back with another 2-minute training mile. I don't need to show her any speed. It's a long year. But I will come back with probably a 2-minute qualifier with her next week. Very happy with her. We went with Slim Jimmy. Strong, but a little full in the face. Scoped him after a couple of trickles of mucus in there. But the mile, he went 59 last half, 58-2. Over that track, and that wind and that rain was a huge mile. Good mile for Slim Jimmy. I want to see him come back next week. The one thing I did say to Jason, he's still got a big, heavy, woody-looking blanket for this time of year, like a coat for this time of year. So he's got long hair and woolly-looking hair. I'd like to see him shine up a little bit. He just strikes me as one of those horses where, we have them all the time here at our stable where they'll be woolly, woolly, woolly. You'll jog them, come in, and it looks like a raccoon's laying on your face because they're shedding so bad. And then within 2 weeks, they're just shiny. And I suspect that's where I'm just checking the track out here. Just want to check the track out here a little bit. Just got to get on this track right now. I'll go walk on it in a second. What was he saying? Slim Jimmy, yeah, qualified good, very happy with him. Again, needs another qualifier. The only disappointing part today was Gemstone Ruby Rose. You never want to see a horse start their career with breaks. She didn't. I said to Jason, I didn't warm her up. We had all her equipment on the same as we did last week, but sometimes things change. I would have liked to go that last mile with her. I went with Pete instead. I felt that was a little more important. Again, when we have qualifiers, they start at 11 o'clock. If you're in the 7th qualifier, you kind of want to go as late as you can to the qualifier. So they were warming up at the same time. If I had opted for Gemstone Ruby Rose instead of Sweet on Pete, fine, but I can't do that. So I said to Jason after, I said, next week, I warm Gemstone Ruby Rose up. Take her blood tomorrow. Just make sure she didn't tie up. I had the vet check her over. She had a little bruise, little corn on the inside of her right front foot, which makes sense because that's where she struggled going into the turns. So I talked to the blacksmith. Jason and I spoke to Enos, our blacksmith. He's going to put flip-flops on her tomorrow. I suspect she'll be good, but I felt bad for her because she's done so much work to get to where she is. She really deserved a good qualifier today, and a crappy track too. Really hard. You go on the track; it's pouring rain and miserable out. It's really hard to make any, to make any speed, and it's not really a good setting for a young horse in their first start. So, Amordiner was awesome. Sweet on Pete was good. Slim Jimmy was good. Gemstone Ruby Rose. We'll come back next week with her again and get her qualified. It is what it is. And then 1-2 skip a few. Remember, I said to you guys, so long story, we went to school her and she made a couple of breaks. I came in, I was angry. I said, put the hobbles on that trot and filly. And I looked down and they didn't have the toe weights on her. Honest mistake. I said, hey, where are the toe weights on the filly? I told them to take them off because remember what I told you, she was galloping for the last month. I didn't want to train her on the trot down to the races, so we galloped her for a month. But to gallop her, she didn't need toe weights on, so we took them off. Added weight for that would be unnecessary, but they didn't put them back on. So what we ended up doing was put another set of bell boots on her, and I did put the hobbles on her. A totally different horse. 2-1, last half in a minute, in the mud, by herself. She was very, very, very good. So super happy. Skippy's always good. Last year you had a baby her, but once you got her going, she was lights out. With the hobbles on, we don't got a baby at all. So one less set of bell boots and maybe a set of toe weights next week. We'll put her in to qualify. I was super happy with what I saw. Now, she seemed good after. I want to talk to Jason tomorrow, see if she ate all her lunch or supper or breakfast. I want to report on how all the horses seem the day after. I want to take the blood on Gemstone Ruby Rose, see how she was. I want to take the blood on 1-2 skip a few. So I want to see in her blood work also, if that was a lot of work, maybe too much work today, you're going to see that AST level, that muscle count level that we talk about spike up a little bit. So I want to take a look at that also. Also today at the barn, the dentist with, this is the coolest thing. You were there when she was there?
Mm-hmm.
The most professional thing I've ever seen in my life. This lady, I don't know her name. I apologize. She gave it to me. I asked her if she could come to Canada. I don't know if I'm allowed. Eldie's Patrick. Steve said the right side, he had a bunch of teeth that were razor sharp on the right side. It's one of those things where the horses can go with them sharp, so it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal for the horse, right? Imagine, chewing everything on your left side of your mouth because the right side hurt or you cut your gums. These are just things that sometimes go unnoticed. And, Jason had booked this appointment. This lady, I don't know how long she was there for. She took a long time per horse. Like, Eldie's Patrick was like 25, 30 minutes. It was an amazing job. I don't know what she charged, but I guarantee you she's worth her weight in gold. I asked her, I said, listen, any chance you can come over here? We got like 90 here in Ontario. I hope we could get her because she was amazing. Anyway, did a great job, cleaned all the horses up, all the 3-year-old caps were off, looked at a bunch of the horses. We'll definitely, if she can't come to Canada, we'll definitely be booking her in as soon as the other horses end up in Ohio. So a great day, as I said, a little bittersweet. The toughest part of the game reared its ugly head again this week. We did have an injury with Royson's punch, but it is part of the game. We're going to push through. Stay Close was very good. Very, very good, actually. He was a winner in a number of ways. Really, I think the only way he loses is the way I drove him, to be quite frank. I think that was the only way he could lose.
Yeah, if he needed to win.
Well, we all need to win all the time, but I wasn't going to sacrifice our other horse for the sake of him. If Royson's Punch was not our horse, or if another horse came first over, there's very few ways I could lose that race, and I happened to find one of them. So Stay Close was very, very good. LD's Patrick, a little flat, but I think I know why today. The teeth had no bearing on yesterday, but will definitely have a positive, will help him positively moving forward. I'm glad we didn't take him to New York now looking at that Shark Tank. Levitor's got it. He's in deep. He's in deep on Wednesday. Like the horse he's in with, not only is racing in the Open, and third beat a neck in the Open 2 weeks ago, he won the $75,000 claimer 4 starts back, to the point where they took him out of the claimer. He was so good in the 75, they took him out of the 75 and put him in the Open. So yeah, he's up against it, but it'll give us a pretty good barometer of, we're not going to leave him down there to get his head kicked in. If he gets beat soundly and doesn't look like he's going to make the final with 5 divisions, you want to be 1-2 every week. Yep. So if it doesn't look like he's one of the horses, I'll talk to Corey after. Maybe he can do in the 75 or the 50. If he can't, he's got Ontario, Ohio. As I said before at the other video, tons of options for our boy Levitor. Really like this horse. She was working on him when we left too. She was working on his teeth. Really like this horse. Really like what's coming up for him. So that is today in a nutshell. We are at Campbellville Training Center now. I'm going to step out onto the track and take a look at it. It's 8 degrees Celsius. If it's starting to, if it's muddy, he can't get on it right now. This is the problem. There's so much water in the track right now. You can't go on it when it's too muddy. You'll destroy it. Imagine putting tractor tire tracks in the track, and if the mud is too heavy on the track, it's too much for a truck and a screen. So it's a real problem right now at the track. It's just, I said we go through this all the time. I guess the timing of the bad track and sick horses is fine. Apparently this barn needs a little time to get over the sickness. And we did have a shitty time of the sicknesses this year, but you look at the weather, what are you going to do? +5, -10, +10, -5. You just can't. It's hard to make traction. So we will push forward. All the horses are exactly where they need to be. I've been very happy with them. It does look like we can get droned weather-wise on Saturday. All depends on what the track looks like. And we do have some sicknesses. We are going to have some scratches on Saturday, but that is the racing game. So I will talk to you all very soon. I apologize. It's dark now, but the late video, just so much going on today. Just getting done. Take care.